Page 335, numbers 25 and 28, asks to evaluate each of these trig functions using a calculator and give an exact value. Now the problem with that is most times when you do the trig function of an angle, it's an irrational number. And the calculator will give you a decimal approximation. So how do we make that into an exact answer? So there was a trick that was explained in the book, is that if you square the value of the trig function, you can see that you will get, most times, for many angles, especially for our special angles, a rational number, so then you can just take the square root of it, and you can show it as a square root. So the first one is secant of 45 degrees, and 28 is tangent of pi over 3. So we have one angle that's in degrees and one that is in radians. So we have to be careful about the mode our calculator is in. And I'm going to do this on both calculators to show you where to change the mode, how you can check that, and also how do you put the trig functions in. So starting with the 84, the advantage of the 84 is that you can see at the top that it says degree. It gives you all the modes right there. Normal, float, auto, real, degree, MP. So you can just, for the first example, secant of 45, we are ready to go to put this in because it's already in degree mode. Now our calculator for the 84 only has sine, cosine, and tangent. To do secant, cosecant, or cotangent, you have to take the reciprocal of those functions. So I need secant, which is the reciprocal of cosine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by putting a fraction in. So I'm going to do parentheses, because what I want to do here is I want to write this as squaring it first, getting a value, and then I'll take a square root. So going back to our calculator, I am going to put in a fraction, and I want to do 1 over cosine. So I'll press the cosine button of 45. I want to make sure I close that parenthesis, close the whole thing, and then square that. So it'll look like that. And then when I hit enter, I get a value of 2. So I can say that secant of 45 degrees squared is 2. So that means that secant of 45 degrees is the square root of 2. Now doing that again on the Inspire, I have a calculator page open. The difference here is that you can't see what mode your calculator is in. So what you can do is go to the home screen, and you can choose number 5 on this menu, settings, and you want to go to document settings, number 2, and you can see the second entry there says degree. So we can just get out of this, so hit OK, go back into my current document. And the other thing that's nice about the Inspire is the fact that if you press the trig button, you have all 6 trig functions and their inverses. So I can just go ahead and choose secant of theta. So let me just make sure I square that first. So let me choose some parentheses. Then I'm going to choose secant, and then put my 45 degrees in there. Make sure all the parentheses are closed, and then I'm going to square that, and again I will get 2. So that means again that secant of 45 degrees will be the square root of 2. Okay, now moving on to tangent of pi over 3. Let's continue with the Inspire. So the first thing I need to do again is change the mode in the calculator, and we're going to do this problem in the same way. We are going to square the tangent of pi over 3 and then take the square root of that. So in the Inspire then, we'll have to go back to the home screen. We have to go to number 5, our settings, number 2, our document settings, and we need to change that second drop down to radians and then hit OK. Now we can go back in our current document, make some parentheses, choose tangent, going to make a fraction, and we want pi over 3. So pi is down here in this menu, and then in the bottom we're going to put our 3. We're going to go outside all our parentheses. We're going to square that. We're going to hit enter, and we get 3. So that means that tangent of pi over 3 will be the square root of 3. Now let's go ahead and do it on the 84. So I first have to change degree into radian. So you press the mode button, which is next to the blue second key, and you go down to the third entry, which says radian. You hit enter to put the black box around radian. You quit out of there, so second mode, and then from our screen, we're just in parentheses. I'm going to press tangent, and you can again make a fraction or just use a division symbol, and we're going to choose pi, which is the blue second of the caret, and then a 3 in the denominator, and then we're going to square that, and we should get our 3 again. Oops, that is not correct. I missed a parenthesis. So I need another parenthesis, and then a square. There we go. I hit enter, and I get my 3. So now I can write my answer. So I know that the tangent of pi over 3 is going to be the square root of 3.